Welcome back to the greatest series in Yu-Gi-Oh! On YouTube with all objective, all facts-based information. I hope you guys are ready. We're about to go hard for another 20 decks in today's episode. This will be the most fan-demanded episode of all time because I'm pretty sure like 17 of the decks are fan demanded. So let's get into this. Without further ado, let's show the base cringe content that we've been all waiting for in Basics.
You can catch me kissing my girl with both eyes closed. I never feared death or dying. Only God can judge me now.
First off, we have Super Quants. And of course, we can't forget our handy dandy calculator. Without our handy dandy calculator, we have nothing. What do we have? We have only this clothes on our backs. We start out with a fan favorite and one of my favorites, Super Quants. I guess these are all fan favorites, to be fair. Super Quants, super gangsta deck. Not gangsta, that's a stupid thing to say. We'll start out, as always, guys, the way we rank these are end board, degen strats, artwork, and the waifu furry tax. First off, end board. End board, Super Quants tries to do one of two things. Super Quants try to make their own board of just random XYZ monsters that are quick effects as long as they have the Power Rangers equipped to them, or they try to turbo into Great Magnus. So overall, we do kind of penalize towers here usually, but because this towers is so hard to get in, it's like 30 to 50% chance that you'll even make the towers, even with modern day tools. It's just not enough. Otherwise, their boards are super fair. They're about as fair as they get in the game, and they're not generic whatsoever. That's a 10. Guys, I honestly think this might be the most based list of all time, which is not what I was asking for. I wanted cringe. I wanted pure disgusting, the last two, the Void of the Black and the dudes with hentai mats. But fine, we'll do it. We'll have the base list. But next list, you guys better have better suggestions. We need the most cringe decks. We need the dragonmaids, the melffys, Quant, Altergeist. Reliance on degen strats. Other than the fact that they do have a towers, not much, so we'll give this a 9. Artwork, this is cool. The artwork, the theme, everything is utter perfection, 10. And finally, waifu tax. They have, I think, one chick ranger, and she's literally all completely like covered. There is no weird Japanese like creepy hentai being snuck into a card game kind of thing going on. So we're gonna give this a 0. And so with a base rank of 29, what a start. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. This is unbelievable. First deck, base score. This is an omen. Next up, we have spellbooks. Spellbooks end board. They try to basically end on Jowgen, which is really, really gross. But it's not generic. So at the end of the day, we can't give it too low. The problem is if you do something in theme, in something for your deck that your deck specifically does, it's going to get a little bit of a boost over something that just spams the standard Barone, Apo, blah, blah, blah board. Savage. So right here we have a deck that is Floodgate, but it does its own thing. We'll have to give this an 8. Even if it has a Floodgate, it's not generic. We're going to ding this more in degen strats. Reliance on degen strats. It tries to Floodgate you out of the game, but does it have any other stuff along with that Floodgate? If you can imperm it, right, you can play. So it's kind of hard to judge. I'll give this a 7. It's a fairly reasonable Floodgate deck. Nothing too, like, truly you can, you know, out it. They have to have the perfect hand to be able to set up the lock. Artwork, the artwork is phenomenal. This is another 10 out of 10. This is easy. And then finally, reliance on waifu tax. High Priestess is phenomenal. No ding here. Love this archetype. Just amazing, amazing artwork, amazing everything. And honestly, I'm going to give this a bonus 1 because this is one of my all-time favorites. And so with another score of based, 26 points, we're in. Spellbooks are based. Next thing we have is Dream Mirror. Dream Mirror are very interesting archetype, just like every other one on this list, but Dream Mirror is particularly interesting. It was the first deck that started to do this multi-field spell kind of strategy, and Konami still hasn't been able to like really capitalize on this, make it an effective deck. Any of those multi-field spell decks, such as Violence and stuff like that. This is one of the archetypes I really wanted to work. It was so cool, such a cool concept, really cool artworks for the most part. It just never worked, unfortunately, for whatever reason. Probably because it's a TCG exclusive, and whatever's a TCG exclusive, it basically gets the Yu-Gi-Oh equivalent of like AIDS. It just dies. So we're gonna give this in terms of end board. Its end board, I know it's fairly in theme with itself. It can't really spam monsters, so it can't really make any kind of generic end boards. I'm going to give this a 10. Reliance on degen. I don't think it has any degenerate. The whole point, the reason this deck is so fair is because it doesn't have any degen reliance, so plus 10. Artwork, I really love the artwork. I'll give this a 9. And waifu tax, none whatsoever. So with another base score, 29 points, guys. What is going on? 3 straight base decks. This is dumb, bro. This is dumb. Also, be on the lookout. I will be able to do an entire comprehensive Excel sheet if you guys want to keep track of like what's been done already, what got what ranking, blah blah blah, all that. I'm gonna have that in the Excel sheet in the description. I'm not gonna have it immediately. I need a few days to get it done because I've just been so busy, but I will have it done soon, and then you guys will have all of the information that you need. So in the future, if you want to suggest an archetype, you can check the Excel sheet, see where it's at, and if it's even been ranked, and then if not, you can suggest it. But if you have any cool, interesting archetype that you want me to take a look at, please suggest it in the comments, and I'm sure that we'll be able to get to it as soon as possible. But I'm feared. I'm worried now. I feel like this is going to be an entire base list. This is not good. Now we have Suships. You're welcome, guy in my comments that always wants Suships. I put it up to a poll. This thing's cleared. I think this would have won if we put Suships on any of those polls. Suships would have been the #1 most voted for archetype. So here we go. We have Suships, baby. End board. I know this deck pretty much relies on its own stuff entirely. Not generic, really like fair archetype. I mean, I'm pretty sure it just does like rank 4 type of stuff. It doesn't really go too far out of its own niche there. I've played against this deck and I've seen it played a few times, so I don't know perfectly exactly the ins and outs of the deck, but from what I've seen, it seems pretty reasonable. I'm going to give this a 10. Reliance on degen strats. I know it can like attach your monsters or something like that, has a really interesting mechanic, but overall that's not degenerate. There's really no degeneracy in this deck. Like I said, it's a rank 4 archetype. Another 10. Artwork. Here's the crux. This is what will decide, will this be based or will this be something else? All on the objective look of their art. And guys, I have one thing to say. Sadly, it got 10, baby. Let's go. We have 30 base. There's no waifu here. Let's go. Let's go. The highest ranked deck of this tier list. And you know what? I'm going to give this my 5 power bonus points. This is the first deck since branded, I'm pretty sure, that got over 30, over its max capabilities. Suships are that cool. Thank you for suggesting it. I know it took me a minute to get to it, but the deck is super ultra giga based. 35 out of 30. I hope you guys are happy. I am a man of the people. Now we're at Cosmo. End board. The deck used to have interesting builds like Fire King Cosmo or Metal Foes Cosmo, where you try to like make certain boards, but overall that was a long time ago. Cosmo in its current iteration, I think it just basically tries to set up kind of like Graveyard Cosmo, where you set up, try to like reborn with Call the Haunted and stuff like that, if that still is the playstyle. I think the deck is just too power crept to be anything in this modern day. It can't really make any generic boards, so I'm giving this a 10. Guys, again, this is crazy. This is literally crazy. Reliance on degen. Other than literally being non-targeting and float, like that's not even degenerate, right? Plus 10. They're a battle phase deck. That's crazy in 2024. Artwork. The artwork is absolutely phenomenal. I love it. This was one of my favorite decks, one of my mains back in the day. 10. And finally, waifu tax, 0. These are all pretty tasteful. If you want to ding -1 point for Cosmo Farm Girl's miniskirt, sure, but overall, this deck is that cool. And the fact that Japan didn't design it means more than likely it's not a waifu deck, because they're the ones that... I love Japan, don't get me wrong, but super pervy. Super pervy. Every single anime, super pervy. There's always that old guy that's just doing weird stuff. Or manga, obviously. Mangas and animes, man. There's always the old guy. Like, even... Yugi's grandpa is a pervert in the original series, in the manga, not in the anime. Japanese people, what are we doing? Anyway, Cosmo with the 2nd highest score today. This is absolutely insane. Why is everything based? Lunalights, please save us. Guys, will this streak break right now? End board. Lunalights, I know that Lunalights can be teched into tier laments, but this isn't a tier laments analysis, that pure Lunalights with whatever they can do, right? You're not going to tech in tier laments into Lunalights, at least not my understanding. I know they have a banned card. I think it's Tiger. Overall, I want to say that it doesn't make anything crazy. It makes a pretty beefy beefcake fusion that can't be targeted, destroyed, can attack a million times, can steal your newborn, all that kind of stuff. But overall, it doesn't really make Brone, Savage, Appaloosa. So what we're going to do is give it a 9. No, what am I doing? That's not fair. 10. Reliance on degen. It's basically an OTK deck from my understanding. It can do some stuff going first, but overall, it's not, you know, it's not trying to do anything. Like, not trying to lock you out of the game. No hand loop, no nothing. Another 10. Looks like another base school. Artwork. It's weird, right? It's anime, but it's like that Harpies, Amazonis, like, it's a chick deck, so like the thighs are just showing big time, which I'm not opposed to. I'm just saying. I want to give this an 8. I do like the artwork. And then finally, waifu tax. All rides on this. Sorry, guys, I got to give it a -5. And with a so close score. Unfortunately, the whole deck is like waifus, I feel like. But hey, that's still pretty good. So close is almost based, right? So close is like pretty cool deck, right? So don't be offended if like your deck lands in the so close category. Pretty much anything up above, unironically vaping in public, so close and based, those are like fine decks. cRInGe and dudes with hentai mats and the black void of not purely melffy is the place you want to avoid. Now we have cyber style, cyber darks and cyber dragons in any capacity. I know they're separate decks too, but overall they were built like a structure deck where like they came out all together. So overall end board, the deck it doesn't really rely too much on generic stuff. It relies on a lot of its own stuff. I know Pleiades is an option, but overall, man, it stays in theme. I'll give this a 9. Reliance on degen strats. None that I know. I mean, a guy that's like basically a towers. Well, you know, he is a towers. Towers guy, another guy that can negate, but it's all in theme. It's all in theme. Nothing really too broken. Like, I mean, I'm going to give this another 9. Like, this is just pretty fair. Artwork, I really enjoy the artwork, especially with the cyberdarks. The cyberdarks add that little bit of edginess. I want to give this another 9. And then finally, waifu tax, furry tax, none whatsoever. And with a score of 27 points, we have cyber style. Next up is inzektors. I gotta be honest, this is the deck I know probably the least about, but I've done some looking into it. This deck is interesting. Unfortunately, its end board is ultimately hella generic, super mega generic. So I gotta give it like a 2. Reliance on degen strats, other than the fact that it has a generic negate board and blah blah blah, not really from my understanding. So I'm gonna give this a 7. Artwork wise, I really enjoy the artwork. They're like cool looking dude bugs. They're like almost like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I know these were way before that, right? Well, I guess Ant-Man and the Wasp were a comic from before, but you know what I mean. Overall, they're like kind of like, God, what are they based off? They're almost like Power Rangers before Power Rangers, that one show in Japan. Unless I'm tripping, please tell me if I'm tripping in the comments. I want to give their artwork an 8. And then finally, waifu tax. I don't think there's any like waifus in the deck. I think there might be like, oh yeah, there's like the Link monster, stuff like that. But they're pretty tasteful. So I'll give this a -1. And guys, sadly or happily, because this would be a really boring list if we just had all based here. Inzektors land with a 16 points in the highest level of cringe. Sorry, guy that plays Inzektors. It's not me. It's the total unbiased analysis score that has ranked them in the cringe. Dragon Rulers. See, Dragon Rulers aren't really a deck in itself. Not until they get more stuff unlimited. But, you know, the way you can play it now is kind of like engine teched into other stuff. I guess you could theoretically play it as its own thing with like just a really generic dragon engine. Overall, they're dragons. They're going to make generic stuff. I'm going to give this a 1 because I know they're going to be used to make generic stupid boards. Reliance on degen. I don't think they're still just relying on like negates, just like every other dragon deck. I would say 6. Artwork's a 9. I really enjoy their artwork. It's like, it was a little bit of a deviation from standard old school artwork. I think this and like spellbooks were like from old school to new school Yu-Gi-Oh! Like the switch happened around that time. But I still enjoy the artwork. We can't all just be stuck in the past. And then finally, waifu tax, none. And so with a score of 16, my God, my laptop's being so slow. And with a score of 16, we have Dragon Rulers, baby. Next up is Adventure. Adventures are really, really one of my near and dear, one of my favorite archetypes, one of the favorite engines that have been released in recent years. It has a really particular playstyle. Like if you don't need your normal summon, the effect of your normal summon monster, then Adventure is a great thing to tech. That annoyingly makes it kind of generic because it can just go into everything, but we're kind of analyzing it as its own standalone thing. And its ultimate end boards are, yeah, they can tech some stuff in, but overall, like, you're trying to end on maybe Wandering Griffin Rider and then maybe a Illegal Knight in Hand for the quick effect. That's not too bad. I'll give this, just because it can be teched into other stuff and other stuff can be teched into it, I'll give this a 7. Reliance on degen, nothing of the sort. I'll give this a 9. Artwork-wise, I love the artwork. It's a 9. It's a really, really interesting deck. And then waifu tax. Water Enchantress is like the definition of a waifu. I'm going to give this a -5. And so with a unironically vaping in public, we have Adventure, baby. Now we have Gishki. End board. I know that the end boards this deck can produce were really powerful when Sprite was a thing. We know that in this channel, when you are mixed with Sprite in any capacity, you automatically get like -5. So I can't go over 5 points here. Reliance on Degeneracy. Literally, I believe it has a hand loop. I don't know if that card was unbanned yet, but just to be safe, another 5. Artwork, 8. They're really cool in terms of being like fish and whatever, like sea serpents, blah, blah, blah. They're cool. Don't get me wrong. They're like Necros before Necros. And Gishki means ritual, if you didn't know, on Japanese. And then finally, waifu tax. I don't think there's really, there's chicks in the archetype, but it's not waifus. So we'll give this a 0. And with a score of 18, unironically vaping in public, Gishki. Now we have Abyss Actor. This deck, I believe, stays pretty pure to itself. Really interesting. It's like, funny enough, it's like Despia before Despia. It's like the same theme. So it's like automatically I'm inclined to like it. End board, I think it does its own thing. So we'll give this a 9. Guys, please let me know if I'm wrong here. Like, if this deck does do generic stuff, please let me know. But from my understanding, it's pretty like in because it has like, I think, certain locks and stuff, like making you can only do this with this type, or like Fiend or whatever. Reliance on degen, from my understanding, none. So we'll give that a 9. And then artwork. The artwork's interesting. Not my favorite, but still all right. It's like evil, demonic theater people, which is just, I think, theater people in general. So we'll give this a 7. And then finally, waifu tax, none whatsoever. And so we have So Close, Abyss Actor. Next up is Ritual Beasts. Ritual Beasts, end board. They don't make anything really too insane. They like to stay in their own lane, which is really nice. We'll give this a 10. Reliance on Degeneracy. They don't really have anything other than the fact that they, I guess, loop cards for a million years, but they don't really hurt you. They just annoy you. They're like really hard to like sit through all that. So overall, we'll give this a 9. Artwork, it's a 9. It's almost perfect. And then waifu tax, I'll give this a -2 just because there are a few. And with another base score, guys, this is dumb. 26 points. We've got 7 base decks and then 6 other decks entirely. This is crazy, bro. This is crazy. Rose Dragons. End board. This is like the one synchro deck that doesn't turbo out massive negates. I know it does rely on Barone, I'm pretty sure. But overall, still a pretty interesting deck. We'll ding it just a little bit. We'll give it a 7. Reliance on degen. Yeah, you can banish your whole graveyard, but that's about it. Or like Nuke, but those are not degenerate strategies. So overall, I'll give this a 9. Artwork, for being flower dragons, like, they're pretty cool. It's like a cool direction to take dragons. So I'll give this a 8. And then finally, waifu tax. These are dragons, so, but they are furries somewhat, I guess, because they have like, but they're petals, they're not fur. I don't know. We'll just give this a -2 to be safe. And with a So Close of 22 Rose Dragons. Punks do synchro shenanigans, which is really dangerous because they can usually make Barone, like generic negates. But overall, I believe they try to make 11 and they try to stay in theme, which is nice. So I'm going to say that this is an 8. Reliance on degen strats. Psychic and Punisher is kind of crazy, but overall, nothing too degenerate. Like, this is the one synchro deck other than like Sword Soul that you really can't even hate on. So we'll give this another 8. Artwork is really unique. It's like how Fluffle is unique. This is like how unique it is in this sphere, right? It's like they're supposed to be punks, so they're like counterculture or whatever. Like, and it's a lot of color. I like the colorfulness of it. I want to give this another 8. And then finally, waifu tax. I don't think there's really like, none of these are waifus. So we'll give this a 24 total. And So Close again. This is the most based list we've ever had, and it only took us 6 tier lists. Now we have Predaplant, a super in-demand deck just like Suships. Will this be able to match Suships' baseness? First of all, generic end board. The deck can be splashed with like other fusion engines and stuff like that, but overall, the deck does stay in its own lane We love that. That's a 10. Reliance on degen strats. None that I know. It can make like 12 interrupts, but like that's using branded engine, but none that I know, so another 10. Artwork, I like that they're little plants in the deck, and then like the extra deck monsters are like gigantic dragon beast monsters that are like used plants. I'll give this a 9. Like the main deck dudes are just a little weird looking, but overall there's like dinosaurs. It's a really interesting looking deck and super unique and generally just all around really cool. And then finally waifu tax, none whatsoever. And so with another base score, my goodness guys, that's the third highest score today, predaplant. Next up we have the almighty Exodia. This is obviously with the new support. The old Exodia was unplayable. You had to basically do like hope for escape, jar of greed shenanigans, like do a bunch of traps, chain them, do like accumulated fortune and draw like 6 cards. That was the only way to play Exodia back in the day. Before that, the only other way was doing that turbo library build, and those would be Black Void Hentai Matt's build level. But Konami decided to do us a favor and actually make Exodia into a deck, so all props to them. As much hate as they deserve more hate than possible, but they did this cool thing, which I'll give them props. It makes Exodia like kind of live up to his old school, like his flavor text, essentially like infinite power, unlimited power. It's like he just keeps boosting and boosting. But end board, they basically make Exodia. Like that's it, but not the automatic win, like just a big boss monster that can negate, can like get a card from the deck that pops stuff. It's really cool. 10. Reliance on degen. You can, I guess, randomly 1 in 675 billion chance draw all 5 pieces in your first hand and you just win. But overall, that's not going to happen. This deck doesn't really draw and try to get them to your hand very easily. It probably takes a few turns. In Yu-Gi-Oh terms today, a few turns is kind of insane. So overall, 10. Artwork, 10. Guys, it's Exodia. Why do I have to explain this? And then waifu tax, none, with the second highest score today, Exodia. Obliterate! Now we have Vendread, end board. It's a ritual zombie deck based on spawn. This is like, if you want to know like coolness factor, like you just hit it ding, 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 all 3 like aspects. I want to give this a 10 because it doesn't make anything crazy. It just makes its own stuff. It makes a dude that because you use these certain guys for their materials, you can like banish spell traps and banish special summon monsters. Like that's cool. Like it's awesome. Reliance on degen, none at all. This deck is great. Konami should make more decks like this and just hit all the top stuff. If you guys are interested in me making a absolute murder list, the best way to fix Yu-Gi-Oh as a game today, let me know in the comments. I'll make that. I want to make that because I think the game needs a hard reset where cool decks like Vendread, Cyberdragon, Ritual Beast can compete as opposed to just having to play like the stupid stuff at the top. Like I love my branded, but guys like playing Snake Eye and that's just not interesting. Or like the 650th runic variant. Artwork, another 10. This is absolutely phenomenal. Actually, I would probably give this a 15, so we'll give it a bonus 5 points. 35, and then no waifu tax whatsoever. And so tied with Suships. We'll leave Suships at the top. I want you guys to have this victory, have this, you know, walk of pride. Vendreads will be right next to it though. All right, we're not doing Flame Swordsman. And then finally, Utopia, the forbidden one. Utopia, guys, Utopia is low-key just Neos with a helmet and armor and a sword. Prove me wrong. End board. This deck is awesome. It's a rank 4 deck. It doesn't really make anything kind of generic and dumb. I'm going to give this a 9. Reliance on degen, none. 10. Artwork, I'm not a fan of the artworks. I'm not going to lie. I'll give this a 4. And then finally, waifu strat / furry tax, none whatsoever. So score of 23, so close to being based. Flame Swordsman will not be ranked because I'm pretty sure I ranked it. I got to double check. This is why I need the Excel sheet. Guys, Excel sheet coming in soon, within the next week, I'd say. It's gonna take me a minute. I have to go through all these videos and like remember all the scores I gave. Guys, I'm so happy you guys tuned in. I'm so happy you guys have been enjoying this series. I love bringing it to you. This series is amazing. We're gonna keep it going. So if you have any suggestions, any decks you want me to rank, like I said, rank them, give them down below, and we'll get them as soon as possible. With this series, I've low-key found out like how certain decks play that I didn't even know how they played, like until I actually sat down and like checked the stuff out. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like the video. It really does help, and it helps me bring more of these to you because like it's like a cascading effect. You guys like it, more people see the video, more subscribers, more intention, more, just everything, right? The algorithm, the all infamous algorithm. So thanks for your support, and I'll see you guys again soon If you want to keep going down the rabbit hole, check this video out. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video, and eventually, Based and the Furious 7. See ya!